here to bring in-depth analysis, context, insight, and just general good vibes.
You've put a lot of pressure on me already.
It was a tough day for Man United, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a familiar feeling for us and for Manchester United fans. Once again, at this very early stage of the season, we're talking about Erik ten Hag, the pressure he's under, the start to the season, 2 defeats in 3 in the Premier League, substitutions booed. There was a malaise around Old Trafford and a sense of we've seen this story already before and it's the same story and it's getting a bit frustrating. And you have to say, you look at the Manchester United performance yesterday and it just wasn't up to standard. Maybe they started the way that they'd expect. There was an intensity, there was a bit of pace to the game, there was a tempo from the home side, but it disappeared quite quickly and Liverpool looked streets ahead of Manchester United. And that'll be a huge problem for those Manchester United fans that were so expectant off the back of this summer. This was the summer of rejuvenation. Omar Barada coming into the football club. This was the first real proper transfer window under Sir Jim Radcliffe and Sir Dave Brailsford. They brought in Dan Ashworth, sporting director, to spearhead the recruitment. Jason Wilcox also there. They brought in some young, exciting players. They'd spent big bucks. This was the start of the new era. This was the real start of Erik ten Hag at Manchester United. But yet, Monday morning, same old story. And I think one of the reasons as to why this will be seen as a little bit of a surprise is because recent form against Liverpool has actually been quite good. Now, let's take a look at this. This is the last 4 fixtures at Old Trafford. And if you go back to August 2022, Manchester United, they beat Liverpool 2-1. Look at the possession though, 30% United. Liverpool had so much of the ball, but yet Manchester United end up with all 3 points. March 2024, that very famous victory, 4-3 against Liverpool. Once again, look at the possession, Bella. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, again, it's 42% United, 58 Liverpool.
So Liverpool having more of the ball. April 24, Manchester United 2, Liverpool 2. Same story once again, 38% to 62. So in those 3 games, you can see Liverpool having the ball. But yesterday, Liverpool, 3-0 winners, 3 points to Arne Slot's side. But look at the possession.
47%.
Clearly a tactic from Arne Slot. Let's let Manchester United have the ball. We're comfortable out of possession. Work rate, energy, high press.
Yeah.
And exactly that's what happened. All 3 Liverpool goals came from winning the ball in the Manchester United half. So a different tactic compared to Jurgen Klopp. Less of the ball, but they've dominated the game when it comes to the big chances and the goals. And they leave Old Trafford with all 3 points.
What did you make of Liverpool's window? They were quiet, but seems to have worked out all right.
Well, this was a thing we'll be talking about throughout the course of today. I know Liverpool fans have been hugely frustrated at their summer activity. It could have been so different. You know, they were in for Anthony Gordon at one stage. That could have happened. You know, Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards can't cater for Martin Zubimendi at Real Sociedad, deciding, thanks very much, but actually, I don't fancy the Liverpool project. They could have had a really good midfielder there. He decided not to join. Obviously, they got Federico Chiesa done. That was a fantastic deal. And Mamardashvili will be joining next summer. So there's only one player that Liverpool fans are really going to see, but it could have been so different. But when you look at the start to the campaign, you look at last season, how they were essentially in for a quadruple at one stage. This is still a really strong squad. We'll talk about Mo Salah, we'll talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold, we'll talk about Virgil van Dijk later.
All right.
But no question.
I've gone early, haven't I?
That's all right. That's a big talking point. We'll get into that in a bit.
Know what you thought. Okay. Well, let's talk about Casemiro.
Yes.
Because there was quite a few errors yesterday. Talk us through.
Yeah, this is something that Arne Slot said in the post-match press conference and to Dave Jones on Super Sunday. He wanted to win the ball high. He wanted to put Manchester United under pressure. He wanted to allow them to have the ball to play out from the back. And this is what led to the mistakes. And unfortunately for Casemiro, 2 of those Manchester United problems were his responsibility. Being dispossessed there, losing the ball. And then you can see Luis Diaz so quick with the way he returns the ball to Salah. And that's the quality pass, the quality finish. It's dynamic. It's Jurgen Klopp's side at its best, but it's under a new manager. And you can see how effective they were. And Jurgen Klopp, Arne Slot said after the game, he knew the Manchester United fullbacks would be high when Manchester United had the ball. So he knew there'd be gaps in behind. And that was something they were looking to exploit. they've done exactly that. So I think when you look at the game plan from Liverpool and Arne Slot, he's got it absolutely spot on. Like you say, Casemiro at fault for 2 of the goals and brought off at half-time, so he was. Ten Hag dismissed rumours that the midfielder left the stadium before full-time, but once again, there is scrutiny over Casemiro's status as an elite player. Ten Hag believes he still has more to give.
Everyone has to take responsibility, and I'm sure he's a great character, and he won everything in his career, what you can imagine, and I'm sure he will keep contributing to our team. And Casemiro is always winning, so he will be there.
Ten Hag, not the only one defending Casemiro. This is the midfielder's wife, Anna Mariana. She made a point on social media to post his very stacked trophy collection. It is stacked, it is bulging, he's won a fair bit. Maybe he's not the player he was when he won all those trophies at Real Madrid.
Supportive wife, though.
Absolutely.
OK, so what about this then? So we're looking at the errors here leading to shots.
Yeah, this was something that was highlighted on Super Sunday post-match analysis, and you can see here this is a really big problem for Manchester United. Errors leading to goals 3, errors leading to shots 4, and when you look at the Premier League records, that's a Premier League unwanted record for Manchester United.
Is this on the players or the manager?
Well, this is the age-old question, isn't it? You know, ultimately, the players make mistakes. Can the manager change that? Do anything about that? Affect that? No. That's a player's individual responsibility. However, some might say, what are they working on in the training pitch? They've been caught high up the pitch 3 times in one game. So therefore, is that a problem with the way they're being coached, the plan, the tactics, the philosophy? We'll go into this in more detail, but clearly Manchester United fans not happy, Liverpool fans loving it this Monday morning.
OK, I'm loving this. Thanks, Mark.
And here to talk through everything with us, Darren Lewis and Owen Hargreaves. And it's a big one to start talking about, which is Manchester United against Liverpool. You said when you first came in today that you thought it was pretty similar from what you've seen from Manchester United and Liverpool in seasons gone by. Is that mostly the case for Manchester United, do you think, rather than Liverpool?
In respect to the results at the minute?
No, in terms of the performance and the balance of play, the way the game went.
I thought that Liverpool, it was a different kind of performance from Liverpool. It didn't feel so, our Man United won it when they play against Liverpool, more basketball matches, so it's like transitional, and Man United get the opportunity to break on the Liverpool side that kind of left themselves a little bit open on the counter-attack. It looked very much more robust at the back. I think Gravenberch has a lot to do with that, and it just seemed more controlled. It felt like Liverpool in total control of that. At no stage was I feeling like, you know, Man United were going to be able to come play that game. They seemed to have the character of their manager already. It's very, very in control they were.
Well, let's start by talking about Liverpool then, because there have been changes, not wholesale changes, not huge changes, but definitely there is that feeling of control. It feels a little bit less emotional, Owen.
Possibly, but I do think he's a brilliant manager who's inherited, one of the best squads of players in the Premier League. So you probably don't need to change too much. Maybe the transitions won't be as big. He's got 3 central midfield players, they're all ball players. So maybe he wants to play a little bit more, but I don't think they're going to play too dissimilar to the way Jurgen Klopp played. Why would you change it? You know, he's built up something so special. Normally when a manager leaves a squad, it's because the team's not very good, or the players aren't very good. Liverpool have an incredible squad of players. Alisson and Van Dijk and Alexander-Arnold, McAllister, the whole pitch, the front 6 are incredible. So I like the fact that he hasn't gone in there and ripped it up. He just kind of complemented what they have. Obviously, there's subtle differences, but I think in the order, I don't think they play too dissimilar to the way Klopp's Liverpool played at the moment.
He went over as well to the travelling supporters. They were singing his name. They did that at Anfield for his first home game last week as well. And he seems to have been taken to their hearts very quickly, particularly given that they lost a manager in Jurgen Klopp that, as Owen said, there was no reason to fall out of love with him. It just came to an end, and now the king is dead. Long live the king.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the transition of power has been really quite impressive, actually, because obviously they got to know him at the end of last season. He's on the pitch with Jurgen Klopp, who leads the chants for him, and clearly he's done a lot of work behind the scenes with the club before the summer. And he's not changed that much. He's not come in and been so caught up with his own ego to believe that he's got to change a club where there are already good players. There's already a fantastic academy. The coaching staff behind the scenes are terrific.
Fans are there. Fans are behind.
Fans will take you to their hearts regardless. What is there to change? And the start to the season has been terrific. 3 games, 3 clean sheets. Now, last season they conceded 41 goals behind Arsenal and City, and that cost them the title. This time around, they look so much more robust, and up front, they score goals for fun.
How important is Ryan Gravenberch and the job that he's doing, which he probably wouldn't have expected to be doing at this stage of the season, because we know that Liverpool...
Yeah,
he's
a brilliant player. And the thing is, he didn't really work out for him at Bayern Munich, but we saw at Ajax, there's a super talented player in there. But I don't think he's a defensive midfield player. I think with the way they play, there's 3 in there, and they all kind of complement each other. You know, one goes forward, one drops off. It was interesting after the game when he spoke to Roy Keane after, and he spoke about the tactical plan, which I thought was amazing. Did it so quick. And he was saying, when we win the ball, then all the guys are good runners. They can get into the box. So he doesn't just want a defensive mid player to sit like an old school one. He wants them all to be able to play and then get into the box as well. So I like that. I like the fact that he trusts the players, but also Gravenberch is what? He's like 6'3".
Yeah.
He's quick, he can run, he can play. He can do everything in there. I think he could be anything for that team.
His defensive work in that particular game was something that they would have looked at and thought, wow. Because like you mentioned, he's not like the 6s, he's probably 8 and getting forward as an 8, getting into the box. We know he can get in there and score goals as well, but they must have been pleasantly surprised, or they've seen in training how good he is, maybe doing the number 6 stuff as well, the number 6 work, if he gets himself in that position. Perfect. Because like we know with Liverpool, they go for their man. If they don't get their man, like they don't just say, right, let's go for the next one. They'll go, okay, let's see. And then they've obviously said, like, we'll try Ryan in there. And at the moment, we're talking 3 games, it looks like, wow, it looks pretty solid.
The thing is, the counter press created all the goals. You know, turning over the ball. You know, the first one, Casemiro makes a poor ball. Fullbacks are out of position, but the press actually created all the goals. And I think that's what, you don't have to be a brilliant defensive midfield player. So you just got to be good at pressing, which I think Gravenberch is probably, of the 3, is probably the best of those players.
So that midfield 3, is it a bit like when there was that move away from strikers to the kind of front 3 and everybody sort of changed positions? Is that sort of a little bit how it's working in that Liverpool midfield?
I don't know. When I played, I always preferred to play with guys that everybody could do everything. So it wasn't like, oh, you just stand there and you just do that. You go create or you score goals. Right, let's take our turns. We all play football because we want to play and we want to get a ball, we want to shoot, we want to score. Okay, sometimes we have to defend, sometimes I have to sit in. But if Righty goes, I'll sit in for him. You know, if Dan goes, you know, I'll sit in. And I like the fact that whoever's kind of in the right position at the right time, they kind of go. And I think that's probably what players prefer, rather than just being pigeonholed, say, you stand there and you do that and you do that. I think the players have a little bit more freedom to, depending on what the game has.
So do they need a number 6 then, an out-and-out number 6?
To win the Champions League and the Premier League, you need a Rodri. Or, you know, maybe not Rodri because he'll probably win the Ballon d'Or. You need somebody top level. And I do think if they get that, they could win everything. But
if they could get Zubimendi, he's the one you think that could be that guy. I think he could be that guy.
Probably. I'll be honest, I played that position and I think the teams that win, you don't win with a playmaker there. You just got to still be a defensive midfield player when you need it, in the transitions, when you got to foul, when you got to break things up. You know, I think that position is super unique. I don't think you need to be a ball player to play in there. So I'm a fan of having a guy that, yeah, he can play like Rodri, but he can still tackle too. I think when you're trying to put a Pirlo in there, Pirlo worked because he had Gattuso. You know, and I think all the top teams that have won the league in the Champions League, they all had a defensive midfield player that was still there. Because when Righty's popping in there as a striker, I can't have a number 10 because he's not going to know how to win a tackle. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a subtle difference, but you still need to be able to tackle in big moments. And I think even Van Dijk would probably prefer that, having somebody in front that in the moments he knows that's going to tackle.
So explain that subtle difference, because you're the perfect person to have here to talk about the position that Liverpool are trying to fill, the person they've got in place who, like you said, has got all the attributes, but it isn't his specialist position. Just explain the subtle difference between having a Gravenberch in there and getting, whether it's Zubimendi or whoever it is, as an out-and-out number 6.
Well, I think everybody's trying to play too much football now. And in the end, a game of football, there's only one ball, there's 22 players. Why do I need my defensive midfielder to be a playmaker? Yeah, he should be able to play football. But if say a world-class number 10 pops up in there and I play against, I don't know, Udegaard, I need to be able to tackle. If I'm a ball player, I can't tackle. If a really defensive midfield player plays in there, I guarantee he'll turn the ball over probably 10 times a game. That's 10 extra looks for me to get the ball to say to Kevin De Bruyne. If you give Kevin De Bruyne an extra 10 looks at winning a game, I can pretty guarantee you're probably going to win the game.
Yeah.
But if we had that problem with England, we had all these brilliant midfield players, but none of them were specialists at kind of getting the ball back. So when we played anybody good, we couldn't get the ball back. And I do think if you're a defensive midfield player, a specialist in there, you get the ball back and you get it to the guys that win your game. McAllister and Salah, and they'll go win your game. If you're a ball player in there, what do you want to do? You want to play. Let Mo play, let McAllister play, let Diaz play. They're the guys that win you games.
Mo Salah has frequently been the player, as you say, who's won Liverpool games. Very interesting. I imagine your journalistic ears pricked up when you heard his post-match interview where he said, quite casually, in the middle of a more full answer, that it's my last season at Liverpool. Yeah. He expanded on that a little bit later on and said, I've not had any conversations with the club as yet. But it sounded, certainly on first hearing, quite decisive from Mo Salah. What did you take from it?
Well, I was shocked that he offered it rather than having it teased out of him. I mean, obviously...
Well, what does that tell you then? If you've got somebody who puts that on the table, as big a line as that on the table without being pressed for it?
It says to me that they want to send a message. Whenever I've interviewed footballers before, you guys have been in similar situations, I would imagine, where you've wanted to get that message out there. Your ears prick up when footballers give you the information rather than you having to actually push them into a corner to give it. And then he actually didn't just offer it, but then he gave detail around it as well. I'm just going to continue in this season. I'm going to enjoy it as if it's my last. And he's either saying to the club I want a new deal or he's saying to other clubs, I'm available because I haven't started talking to the club yet.
It was beautiful from him, really. It was geniusly played.
Yeah.
Creates 3 goals, comes on and says, look, they haven't spoke to me.
That's exactly what he's
I'm
saying.
on a free. You say, I ain't heard from him. Yeah. And now all of a sudden the pressure goes on to clubs and say, what? Why have you not offered him a new deal? Well, Mo's only 32, isn't he?
Yeah, 32. Yeah.
He's way too good to be going to Saudi.
Majorly fit. We're talking about somebody that Liverpool, if that's the message he's trying to send, listen, are we going to start talking contracts? Because
I'm still the guy.
There's going to be a parade of clubs that will take him the way he is, how great he is, his fitness, his hunger. And the thing is as well, with Liverpool, is that I do get the impression that he would probably like to stay at Liverpool and break records. He's got that legacy player. If he stayed, let's say he stayed for 3 years, and like even if he dropped off in the last year, because that's 10 years of unbelievable service. I believe that he would probably stay if Liverpool go about it. And like I know that people get very nervy around 30s, in their 30s. I think that he's an exception in the way that he prepares himself and the way he plays.
I think it's absolutely, I agree with that. I think he's 32, but if you look at him, his body is like a Greek god. The way he lives his life, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, you don't find him falling out of nightclubs. But also the interesting thing for me is that he's hearing a different voice now. And that could be quite key because he's not working under Klopp anymore. If he were to move, it would be, you would imagine, for another challenge. Well, in Slot, he has that challenge. He has different ideas on how to play the game, and he's still at a club where he can win another Champions League. Like you said, they can win everything if they were to get that player.
They can win a Premier League
season.
They
are absolutely Premier League contenders at the moment. So I think he's at the right place. It wouldn't surprise me if they were to sign a new deal. If they were not and he were to go, for example, to Saudi Arabia, you could see why. Speaking his mother tongue out there, he is a god, but he likes his privacy as well. And when he goes out there for the AFCON, goes away for the AFCON, they treat him, obviously, as they should do, like the superstar that he is, but he doesn't get that privacy. And I just wonder if in Liverpool he might feel a bit more comfortable staying at the top level of club European football. And
obviously we want to be able to keep watching him while he's at the peak of his powers, even if he is at 32. And as you say, clubs can get a bit nervous about players in their 30s. As for Manchester United, while the changes at Liverpool might be small, they have had a change of manager, and it does feel as though there are definitely tweaks to the way that they're setting about things this season. Has anything changed for Manchester United, do you think, Owen?
Well, the leadership structure's changed. Well,
Has anything changed on the pitch, Owen?
I was hoping it would be a better start to the season. I thought the first 20 minutes they were all right. I thought they went toe-to-toe with Liverpool, actually. I thought they were level in the game. But the same problems that happened in the last 2 years under Ten Hag, when they concede a goal, they concede a second, they concede a third real quick. And they fold really quick. And I don't know why that is, because, you know, they had a decent recruitment in terms of the summer. It feels like a good summer. But the problem is, on the pitch, they're still a mile off the top teams. And you would have thought with the money that they spend and the time that Erik's had there, there'd be a clear identity in how they want to play. And still, I mean, Slot's had 3 games and we know how he's playing. And the fact of the matter is they keep losing these big games at home against Liverpool. It's not done. You know, you can't keep playing that way. I mean, there was 30,000 people that left the stadium halfway through the game in the biggest game of the year. So pressure's on Erik ten Hag. The performance have been... I thought yesterday was terrible, really terrible.
You know what, girls? When you look at the way they do play, even though they were duking it out with Liverpool at the start, and then Liverpool score their goal, and then, like you mentioned, they score again. And it's simply because the way they're playing and the structure in which they're going to play, and they're going to still try and maybe play it to the fullback into maybe Casemiro, maybe excuse me, into Cobbin. They're not going to change that. So Liverpool, in the way they were pressing so well, so high. Liverpool just say, well, if you're going to carry on playing that, then we'll do that. Then we'll score. You're going to carry on doing it, then we'll score again because Man United...
That's true, right? I like that Slot said after, he said, yeah, we just said we'll keep the wide players high.
Yeah.
Because he knows the fullback's going to go. What happened on the first goal? Casemiro, look, it's a bad pass, right? Casemiro gets all the criticism. The fullbacks can't be there. They just can't be there against Liverpool. You know, where the fullbacks get in this crazy position where they're too high. Okay, it's a bad ball. Where are you 2 fullbacks against Liverpool? It's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's on the manager. At the back post, where Mazraoui should be, and he's actually played quite well in 2 games, he should just be there.
Yeah.
Diaz gets a tap in at the back post. So I appreciate...
It's funny, because for Bayern Munich, you'd very seldom see Mazraoui caught out in that manner, so high up the pitch. For Man United, he's a couple of games in and he's making elementary mistakes like that.
But again, that's on the manager, because he's saying,
absolutely,
when we get the ball, you go high. You only go high when you have good possession.
Yes.
United didn't have good possession.
What he was saying after the game, Erik ten Hag, was not to say we played well and we were, you know, but he made similar points to yours, which is, you know, for 20 minutes we went toe-to-toe with them, and the goals were down to individual errors. But other than that, and statistically, the game I mean, his argument is borne out that there wasn't actually that much between Manchester United and Liverpool. It didn't look like that. It didn't feel like that watching the game. He also talked about De Ligt, you know, not quite having bedded in, Xerxes not quite having bedded in, that this is going to be different. Maybe Casemiro doesn't start the next game if he's not going to get back up to full fitness. Are any of those valid arguments, do you think?
Not for me.
No. Unfortunately for him.
It's important to put them.
Absolutely.
Well, the interesting thing was the press conference, because one of my colleagues was in there and saying, could it be about yourself? Because after all the money, all the time that is being given, and all of the problems that they've had, eventually the spotlight does have to come on to him. And one of the more senior colleagues in the dressing room put that, in the press conference, put that to him. And he tried to put it back on the journalist and say, well, what do you mean? And the journalist reeled off a whole host of things that are wrong with the team. And I don't think Ten Hag expected that to happen. Yeah. But it was an illustration of the fact that the criticisms of him are born in fact. They're not just born in arbitrary attempts to undermine or discredit him. These are specific things, specific holes you can pick in the team after all the time, all the money that's been spent, all of the players that have come and gone. And I think that...
People want Erik to do well, don't they?
They do want him to do well, absolutely. They are one of the superpowers in world football. They do want Man United to do well. The Premier League needs a strong Manchester United. But at the moment, there are players underperforming. The fallback, you know, there are tactical areas that you summed up so well where they're just falling down for a club of that size. And when you compare them to a City, to an Arsenal, to a Liverpool, that defensive structure isn't there. That goal-scoring potential isn't there. The midfield is all over the place. They are just shapeless, and I do not see him lasting this season. That's a big thing to say, but it's so difficult because as media people, we cannot continue to see what's not there.
And it's been going on for a while now. You've seen in Slot's like 3 games, we know we see the structure, we see what he's trying to do, and unfortunately with Ten Hag, and it's something that's going to be continually thrown back at him, is that we still don't know his system, his plan, how he wants it to.
That's it. It's slotted 3 games in, and Liverpool have an identity.
You can get a little bit of an identity, and that is one of the things that when he says, you know, we were okay for 20. You come to Old Trafford, and you expect that they're going to be blasted. Back in the day, it was some of the ways that they finished games off. Seen it, watched it so many times. Man United are always going to come for 20 minutes where they're going to be on top. But what they haven't got now, what they had back in the day, is a structure and calibre of players and a discipline where we're going to do this, but we're going to actually do this for probably the whole game, and then we're going to get it to our wingers. We're going to cause you problems. With Ten Hag, there's no structure like that.
I don't know that they're going to score.